All right, it being 6 o'clock, and we have a quorum. I call this meeting of the Bryant Parks and Recreation Committee to order. And first thing you've got in the packet is the approval of last month's minutes. I want to take a look at those. If anybody's got any comment on them, I would let us know. But I'd entertain a motion that we approve them. I move that we accept the minutes as printed. All right, we have a motion.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? I was remiss in not recognizing Matt being here tonight. He'll have a report for us here in a little bit, and George is back there as well helping out tonight. So, all right, finance reports.
Yeah, so one thing that we started doing this year was just a quarterly finance report. It is, if you notice, it is January through September, so this is just through the third quarter, but this is the most recent report that went to council for approval last month. As we go through it, just top part is revenue. So as far as the percent available there, the lower the number, the better. That means that we're closer to reaching our goal for the year on our revenues. If you look and see like that third line there, mills, sale of services, the negative means that we went over our goal for the year for mills. The budgeted amount was $80,000. We brought in $88,000. Now mills is also for the most part done for the year, and the pool's closed, and we'll have a few more rentals, but by this point of the year, mills slows down a lot. But a very good year out there. And then if you look at like the total amount down there at the bottom, to be on track, we would have 25% remaining. We're actually at the end of September down to only 22% remaining. So that's a good pace that we're on this year of hitting our revenue goals for the year. And then expenses, there you would rather have a bigger amount left. And so if you look down at the bottom there on expenses for the year, we should, on pace, have already spent 75%, but at the end of September, we were a little bit less than that. So there was still 27% remaining. So, hey, Renee? Yeah, I got it. So in all, we're at a good pace at the end of September. There are some that have come in since. So, for example, you see like for revenues, the sale of equipment, that second line up there, that number says zero. That's not zero anymore.
5,900.
Yeah, we're right at 6,000 now. But at the end of September, that money, we hadn't received the money from Gov Deals yet, but that money has come in now. Also, it says use agreement fees at Midland. Oh, that's right. Yeah, the Midland use agreement fees that we've received a second check now from Central Arkansas Soccer, and we have actually surpassed that 32,000. But at the end of September, that wasn't there yet. So some of these have caught back up. Any specific questions or anything? We don't actually approve this or anything. It's just here for information purposes.
How much do you anticipate the budget next year changing? I'm just putting that together, I'm sure.
Yeah, our budget, I don't think it's being cut at all in next year, but I also don't think there's going to be much increase in it. So, I know that as the city as a whole is still balancing some of the tightness that they faced last year, and so still working on coming out of that and finding other revenue sources. In fact, I think the city council's having their last budget workshop tonight, right now on that.
Okay. Any comments or questions on that? I think we've done a pretty good job staying on track.
Yeah, our revenues are doing very well this year, and that's one of the things for us as an apartment we're trying to do is find ways to diversify some of our revenue sources and find other ways to bring some in internally. So
So, the personnel expense, I probably that before that. Is that staff?
Yeah, so if you looked at, the Mills one there? Okay, Bishop personnel. So, yeah, so if you look at that one, so Bishop, we're over a little bit, but if you look at general at the top, it's under. So what'll happen is we have some lines that, some positions that come out of Bishop, some positions that come out of general. And even if we go over for the year in Bishop, and I think that is from having to use more part-time this year to fill some of the vacancies that we've had throughout the year with the hiring freezes and things like that. And all the shuffling, so, but we're okay because there's extra money up in that general that can.
I didn't even notice it was too much.
Yeah, there's actually three.
Yeah.
So Mills has it as well, but Mills is done for the year. And they did go over, but they went over by $1,000 and the revenues went over by $8,000. So some of that was needing to use more lifeguards because we had more traffic out.
Chester playing pickleball when I think God is good weather for
Any other comments or questions on, for Keith? Please have tonight, Matt Onders, and give us kind of an update on, PAA, and, do this quarter, I guess. Somebody come through, and just kind of give us an update on your activities and whatnot, we appreciate all you do.
Well, we appreciate you guys having us out here tonight, to kind of tell us 2024 numbers. And I'll break it down between the number of participation and the teams we had out here. So in 2024, we had 500 kids, a little less than 500 kids sign up for T-ball and league baseball. That does include about 120 kids of Black Sox kids. Of that, we hosted, not including T-ball, I was trying to do the math in my head, I can't remember how many T-ball teams we had. We had 32 league teams out here this year, running through all the fields. And then in that number, like I said, we had 175 Black Sox players out here, of which, a lot of those, we were able to double team a 9-year-old team that Jason's son was a part of, and then we have a second 11-year-old team last year. We were able to increase our numbers on Black Sox. Obviously, we're up against the travel baseball programs that are here in Saline County, and there's a ton of them, as you guys know, from Running Fields, et cetera. But we're trying to keep those league numbers up by giving opportunities to increase our Black Sox programs, et cetera. So they can still be on that travel team they want to be on, and we still have league participation from the Saline County kids. Little things we do differently on the Black Sox, for those that don't know, is 99.9% of our kids are all from Bryant. They all have to go to the Bryant School District. Now, we get run short on the team. We need a player or two. We'll pick up a Saline County kid, but we don't reach outside of Saline County. And saying all that, I guess our Black Sox, we weren't quite as successful this year as we have been in the past. I think we had two state tournaments won by Jason's group as well, and then we had a big Eastern League tournament in Florida that our team won this year. So staying competitive, and then kind of moving down to football this year, we had 120 players sign up, give or take, at 3rd through 6th grade. Keith, did not get your check tonight, but Stephanie did tell me she would deliver it tomorrow. I apologize, I forgot about it, because I was way over here. I was like, you run that by tomorrow. Couple of things we're doing with the money that we have left over from this year, and I do need your help. We're going to be buying batting cages, especially nets for the A fields, because those got holes of just counting cars out there. And then we're going to look at the C fields as well for nets. So we'll get on and see if we can coordinate a way to maybe get some volunteers to all put it together. We're also going to buy L strings, update all our L strings that are out here. We did that a couple years ago, but it's time to update the other ones. As well, we're going to be adding pitching strings to all the A and the B fields this year, so that coaches don't get slaughtered by baseballs coming out. Short of that, I got a call last week, I think it was. Cal Ripken is struggling this year to find state tournament locations. And so I told him we would consider, if I get a chance to talk to Keith and the Parks Committee here, and as well as our organization. I haven't brought these guys yet. But another thing I told him, the only way we really wanted to do that is we could host, obviously, the money makers, if you will, the ages 5 through 8-year-old groups, where the mom and dads and grandma and grandpa all come out to those things. So that they be a moneymaker for the Parks Department as well as BAA. And then, of course, I've got a little tendency to want to do the 12-year-old state tournament, since we'll be the 12-year-olds this year. We've got the big World Series up in Bryant this year. So we're going to talk to our group, see what kind of volunteer participation we can get from that. And then I'll get with Matt in regards to, once we figure out dates, et cetera, on, what we can do to kind of work together and get things going, and also the concessions, get committees, et cetera, and then we'll need to get some committees to head up, these different, committees for the state tournament, so different groups. That's good. And now you got a probably call coming in. We've got, unfortunately for us, we've only got one football team left to compete in, I guess they're calling the Super Bowl this year. So that's John Harrison's group of fourth graders. So they play this Saturday. So I can't remember if it's Benton or if it's down in Hot Springs, but that's the only group left for that age group. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. If you got any questions or concerns or thoughts or anything, we will have our kind of kick off our 2025 board BA meeting November the 19th. If anybody wants to come to that, it'll be at 6 p.m. Getting that out to everybody to kind of start doing that route. So,
What are the numbers on the Cal Ripken tournament? How many teams usually?
So the 5 and it's gone down depending on locations. I mean, like the last few years they've had it at Lone Oak, which is not the best park to have it at. So I think the 5-year-olds only had one team in it last year. But years past, it went to Sherwood, except you could count on 20 to 30 teams as a 5-year-old, and then same with the 6-year-old age group. So you do that times 10 to 12 players in each, at each age, and then the mom and dads and grandma and grandpa will come see us. And then the other age group, 7 to probably like 20, and they start falling off quickly after that. So 8 to probably like 10 to 12. The other thing is, I don't know off the top of my head, the 7 and 8, because 7-year-olds is the year they start doing the travel ball.
Right.
And so I don't know how it falls off with Cal Ripken. I know Cal Ripken's making a big push this year to kind of be an equivalent to travel ball and allow some of the same rules that they have at that 7 and 8-year-old age group for travel ball. So, but like in Sherwood, the city took over their parks there, so like they said, we're not doing any Cal Ripken, we're doing all travel ball this year. So it opens us up for an opportunity to, increase some revenue here at this park. And it's in June, so fields aren't rough just yet because of the water situation. In June, that's actually a good time to be playing ball out here. So all the rain's over with, the fields are nice and green and lush, and fields look immaculate, and good time to get some baseball out there.
Any questions or comments from Matt? We appreciate you coming. We appreciate all that you do.
No problem.
Thanks, Matt.
Any of us have personally invested in it, know how much work you put into it.
A lot of work, but it's a good thing for the kids, and so we appreciate it. So,
And I'll tell you, our off years, we're still doing pretty well.
yeah.
So,
All right. Well, thank you guys for having me.
Thanks, Matt.
Good to see you.
See you.
all right, director's report.
Yeah, so, you have the list there of our summary from October of events and happenings and things that we did. One thing that I'll highlight from that, is we have pretty much all of the fall sports with the exception of one football team, and I think a couple of the classic soccer teams have wrapped up for the year. So we have overseeded all of the fields, with the ryegrass that we've done in the winters the last few years, which field's looking very green and also protects them, from getting torn up too much early in the spring whenever there's still dead grass out there. So that's all been done. If you come by during the day, I actually noticed it today and said something to Matt about it, but everything is bright green out there right now. So it's already coming up. So at this time, with the exception of a few of these that are wrapping things up, we are closing the fields now for rest. And so we talked with Matt earlier about that. And, he said there may be some that come out and hit in the cages or things like that. But, and if a parent comes out with their kid or something, we're not chasing people off. But, as far as organized team practices, we're closing everything down for a couple of months to let that ryegrass come up and get hold, and so that it'll look nice when we start everything out in the spring next year. So Same thing with closing, community gardens closed for the winter, just, you know, kind of wrapping things up. We'll have a few maintenance projects coming up that we'll do during the off-season. Yeah, so we had a few events, in October. You know, we hosted the high school, cross-country meet here, as well as a couple of softball tournaments and a fall state baseball tournament, so. One other thing I will highlight, and then I'll stop talking. We did go through, if you know, from midway down, we did an all-staff training. So yeah, the Bryant Police Department and their training sergeant, Michael McCabe, who actually was a previous employee of Parks years ago. He was a lifeguard here, I think, when it first opened. But he came and did, civilian response tag. I kind of reached out to the PD and, you know, it's one of those things hopefully we never need it, but, you know, I'd rather have it and not need it than the other way around. And so, so I sat down and met with Michael, and he said, actually, this would be perfect for what y'all need, because you're not trained law enforcement. It is a civilian response course. So, he did a 2-hour course with our entire staff. I think it was really good. And so we're discussing possibilities of doing like some, maybe, you know, twice a year, 3 times a year training with them throughout whenever we can have.
So is it like, say, an event, something happened at a park, like that's what you were training for?
Yes.
So if there's an active shooter at
We
a
have an
park,
active shoot, yes. What our staff,
would do-
as civilians that are not trained law enforcement, how they would. But yeah, so a big thank you to Michael and Sergeant McCabe and the Bryant PD for that free of charge, and just their time to come with our staff. So, in fact, you did it at 8 to help it out with the numbers, because we have so many staff members. He actually came out 3 different times to do that. So.
How did Fawcett, you got 3,500, how did that compare with that?
That was actually up from, yeah, so, yeah, Shane, I had those numbers. He was Shane Knight, the chamber director. Now, he's all about wanting to know the numbers of how many people are coming to different things. So he was on me about it, but yes, they were up. I think last year, based on using the placer data, I think I got like 3,000. So this year was at like 3,500, but, and that is just taking, because we ran our volleyball league this year. So, but I just took the area that was down here now. That some of our volleyball participants may have seen protest and came down.
Right.
But yeah, with what they were up against, because I know the date wasn't great. It was, old-fashioned days and then the air show in Jacksonville was the same. So I know they had a lot of, you know, competition, but I think it went really well.
Well, they changed the date this year too, like it had been.
It's always been the last week in September, and then this year was the second weekend in October. The weather was perfect. I mean, it was much cooler with it being that day. What we were looking at next year is they really wanted to get on that date that's in between the first Saturday in October, and so that has typically been the high school cross-country day. But I talked with the school, and they actually are wanting to get the cross-country meet back to a weeknight. So I think it's going to work out where we can do the cross-country meet on a Tuesday night, and then the only thing we'll have to talk to softball for that night, because that's, you know, and work with their schedule to not. But I think that's what we're going to do is that weekend in between, because they don't want to be on the same weekend as old-fashioned day every year. I think this year was just extenuating circumstances.
Do I have anything on that before we move on to public comments? I think there's going to be.
Where do you got anything?
I'm good. I'll take it up with the mayor.
Who was that? Old business, new business?
Yeah, so, last month, we had Bryant High School, so at that time, we did not think that Lakeside was going to have a team this year. They have since had a team, and we have hosted their dive team for practices in years past. So this is, no different than the agreement has been in years past. Lakeside High School, does not have a facility with a, diving board and the deep well to practice, so they,
Really?
is that maybe they just like that? I don't know. But I know that I noticed the Y there doesn't have like the deep well and the competitive diving board, so, because I know that whatever that swim team is, comes here and practices as well. Like their version of like the bass or the racers, like their competitors, their dive comes here.
Yeah. So it's probably not a lot of it.
No, it's not, they're not invasive. I mean, and they pay, I think, $350 fee to come and practice. But it's the same as it's always been. The only reason we didn't bring it with the Bryant High School last month is that at that time, we didn't think that they were gonna have a team. A lot of times, swim coaches, I think, are coaches that wait till their football season's like almost over before they decide to put a team together. You know? Yeah, so anyway, but the assistants are always the football coaches.
Really? I don't know who does that.
But,
I was thinking Coach Sales.
but yeah, so, and they've already signed it, so if you approve, I will take it to council this month to get the mayor to sign it as well.
Need that.
Yes, I need that.
Just a yearly agreement,
Yeah.
I make a motion that we approve this
We have a
agreement.
motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Motion passed.
5 years now, you know, and this one is a year, which they're not, well,
I'm sure, I mean, I'm good with motion, but I'm sure this is covered, but no, there's no liability.
It's in it.
I know, that's pretty, that's a long one. I think it was in there somewhere.
Yeah, and all of these, like 98% of all these are the same, that's always
Yeah,
put it
it's
actually
like
right.
yeah.
Yeah, the dollar amount, there was a few spots that we had.
Yeah.
All right, any committee comments?
Things are all pretty good.
I got nothing.
Yeah.
You still didn't beat my record.
I mean, that's true.
The shortest meeting? Yeah.
What was that one, like 17 minutes?
I was dragging it out.
No, man, you already said that.
I'll make a motion, so,
Thank you. I wonder when you're ready to get to that.
I mean, okay.
Wait a second.
Second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.